Awesome. Hello and welcome everyone. It's great to have you here or in my living room. It's much more comfortable for me to be hanging out here and talking to you guys. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim and I'm the Leadership Development Coordinator here at CYC. Should stop talking with my hands, right? Story of my life. And a big part of my role is looking after all our leadership training and development programs. So looking after our training for our holiday camp leaders, our LIT programs, and as well, of course, our internship. I'm so excited to see each of you here tonight. It's knowing some of you or some of the reasons why you're here. I'm excited to see the way that tonight goes. You're probably going to have to put up with me talking a fair bit tonight, just giving you a little bit of information about the internship, but as I said to some of the staff today, that's probably a little bit about what you can expect for the internship. So it really is like an open night. So it's fine and good. Let's kick off tonight by maybe me talking a little bit about. Most of you will have an idea of what we are, who we are at CYC, but just quickly. So CYC owns 5 campsites across Victoria, 2 in Phillip. We have Forest Edge out at Nearham East. And Adanac at Yarra Junction and the city campsite as well. So those campsites operate all year round for school groups and church groups and all that sort of thing as well. The ministries department, so our part, we run our holiday camps and leadership training events. So we have upwards of 40 to 45 events every year of camps, going from primary camps, teen camps, as well as our leadership training camps and events in doing that as well. And so the obvious question is probably the first one that I normally start with when I talk about about our internship program is, what is the CYC Ministries Internship even about? Why do we run an internship? And the easiest way to sort of sum that up is actually because we're passionate about growth and development. We're passionate about our leaders growing. We're passionate about our young people growing. And yeah, we want to see that, and we want to see that happen in as many ways as possible. So that's really the driving purpose beyond about our internship. The CYC Ministries Internship is designed to be a year of purpose. In my job, I have the amazing privilege of walking alongside a whole bunch of young leaders and young people. And I have a lot of conversations with people who are coming to the end of VCE or at the end of their degree or wanting to shift degrees or change. And we often have conversations about what it looks like to do a gap year or a year away from study or whatever, travel or whatever it is. And my comment to that is always, all of those things can be great as long as you're doing them on purpose. If you want to travel, do it, eat it up, experience the world and get it done. If you want to work and save some money, work properly, do it full time, get it done, get it sorted. If you want to study, study something different. If you want to spend a year, going deeper in your faith, then find the best way to do that. Do these things on purpose. And so the idea is that through what we do is the idea that we're passionate about learning and growing. And so the purpose for us is really looking at that idea of growth, a year of growth. Okay. I like to always talk about in our leadership 3 areas of growth that we like to focus on and really build all our leadership on. And that's growing in who we are as people, in our identity and understanding ourselves as children of God. Secondly, growing in our faith, going deeper in understanding in who God is and what he's done for us and who we're called to be and how we're called to live out of that. And then growth in our leadership. So looking at practical leadership skills that will not only serve you well for camp, but also will serve you well in life. Because we need more leaders in the world. And whether it be in your church or your university or your sports club or whatever that is, we will build into that leadership. So a year of purpose and a year of growth. The third thing is really a year of preparation. One thing my interns get sick of me saying, there's a number of things to be honest, but one thing is that the best and worst thing about the internship is that it only goes for a year. It's the worst because normally by the end of the year, you never want to leave. Hence the fact the guys tonight were pretty keen to call themselves the current interns, even though it's 9 months or 10 months after they finished. The community that's built and the group that's going is so strong that people want to continue on and do that. And they're able to do that in obviously different ways with our camps and all that sort of stuff. But it's the best because I know that if you start an internship in February next year, you have to leave the internship in November. There is no second year. And so the reason why that's the best thing is because that means we can spend the year working towards and preparing you for whatever's next. Now, you might not know what you want to do after the internship. You may have a really specific plan. I know some of you are very big planners, and so that may be laid out for the next 10 years. But whatever it is, we are able to, through our conversations, through development, through mentoring, prepare you for whatever it is, whether it's study or work or whatever it is you're going to beyond the internship. And that's part of my purpose of why I run the internship, in terms of not wanting to leave you guys falling off a cliff at the end of the internship, but to equip you the best you can, the best I can, for whatever it is that you want to do next. So that's really what we're about in terms of the internship as a program, and in terms of why we run the way we run, and what we see as is really important. Now, in terms of our internship, the word internship is used in a really wide range of different ways. Everything from free labor through to really intense study things, through to things that you might do for 6 months, or you might pop into church and volunteer half a day a week. There's a whole bunch of different things, and so it's actually really important for me to help you guys understand what it is that the CYC internship actually is about, and what it actually is part of it doing that. Most of you will be aware that there's a part of camping in it, and there's probably some study and that sort of stuff, but it is important to talk about those two parts of the internship. I always talk about that there are two very distinct parts of the internship. The first part is the CYC Ministries involvement part. I start with that one because that's the fun one. Not that the other one's not fun, of course, but it's the funner one. So the CYC Ministries involvement. So part of your internship with us, you will be what we call the CYC Intern Development Day. So that's a full day spent in the office with us at the CYC Ministries offices in Wantirna. And a normal day, if there was such a thing, would look like we would have a devotion in the morning, spend some time in the Word, and then we'd have morning tea with our staff and devotions, which we do every day as our staff team. We then have a teaching time, which would form the basis for two of your subjects along the way, where we talk about a bunch of personal development, faith development, leadership skills, all that sort of stuff. And then in the afternoon, you would have the opportunity to work in the area of our ministry that you are most passionate about. And so with that, we actually partner you up, or to you up, or whatever it is, with one of our CYC staff members. And that might be based around one of our camp directors like Leslie, or it might be around leadership development stuff with me, or a creative ministries expression with Lucy, our creative ministries director. And you work alongside that staff member, supporting them in their role, undertaking jobs and activities that build towards whatever they're doing. So if it was a camp director, you might help them build teams for camp. You might help them run, plan and implement programs for camp. And then as part of that, throughout the year, you would have what we call a major project, where you would take on a part of that ministry for you to actually run. So that might be a key leader role on camp, a cabin coordinator role, or a program coordinator role. They're our key team leaders on camps. Or it might be running an event for our families ministry, or helping to run the events for our leadership training, or really implementing a social media phenomenon with Lucy, or whatever it is. It will be some really particular area around working alongside that staff member. The reason why we do that is because we realize that each of our interns every year come with a really different range of gifts and abilities and passions. We have some interns who might have led with us or even camped with us for as long as they possibly could. We have other interns who have never led with us before or had anything to do with CYC. And so different opportunities for people to explore their gifts and to be mentored and guided by one of our staff members is just an incredible opportunity to learn from some amazing people and the way that they go on. So we pretty carefully pair those guys up with you for your benefit, but also for the benefit of the ministry as well. Obviously, it wouldn't be a CYC Ministries internship without involvement in some way in camps. So we have actually a pretty minimal involvement expectation around camps. The expectation for all interns is that they'll be a part of at least 2 camps throughout the year. Normally one of those being your major project, if that is a camp directing one. Part of the reason why we keep that bar low is because we understand that the balance of study and life and actually seeing each other for a bit might mean that it's really healthy for you to have a rest every now and then and be away. What we tend to find is we can't keep people away, and they tend to do more camps than that. But we always want to keep that bar a little bit lower for that, so that we can really contend people having their self-care, particularly in those school holiday periods where study turns off as well, and maybe you just need to breathe for a second in a busy year. The fourth part around the CYC Ministries involvement is the conference and development opportunities with the staff. So every second year, which next year will be one, we have our CYC conference. So that's an opportunity for all our staff and across all our different sites to gather together and have some amazing input and time of fun and together. We had the first one last year and it was a cracker. And so I'm really looking forward to next year and the interns being able to be involved in that as well. We also have other development opportunities. We might head to a seminar for a day or something like that as a staff team. And we really because we view our interns as quasi-staff, as sort of that, as part of our staff team, interns are always invited to be a part of that and do that. The similar, it's sort of important to sort of recognize, I haven't got that on there, in that the way that we do view interns, you guys are not the slaves around the office, not they're just running around getting coffees and doing that, although, you may just decide to do that. But really we do view our interns as part of our staff team. You guys are free and welcome to come into the office if that's helpful to study there or to do that, to do prepping for camps and whatever. We love broadening our family to include our interns and have had a great fun with our interns over the years as well as a staff team. Frankly, we get a bit sick of each other every day, so it's really good to have other people in once a week. It's really exciting. So that's sort of the CYC Ministries involvement. The second part of the internship, so we have the CYC Ministries component, so that real practical, reflective element of that day a week plus camp involvement, is the study with Eastern College. So Eastern College Australia is an accredited theological college that focuses not only on theology but also on practical equipping with education degrees, youth work degrees, psychology degrees, all that sort of stuff as well. So they're based actually fortuitously next door to us in our office in Wanturna as part of the Melbourne School of Theology building there as well. So what does it look like for you to do some study with Eastern? So as part of the internship, you would enroll, and see how keep saying you would enroll because, we're all there, right? You would enroll in a one-year Diploma of Arts majoring in Christian Studies, all right? And so that is a normal diploma. It's a higher ed diploma. So studying, it's an AQ5, which may not mean anything to any of you, but it means studying the levels at a bachelor level at higher ed rather than just a diploma in another way. And so you do that. And then of course you have all the access to all the support structures that you would as an Eastern student. For all intents and purposes, you are an Eastern student. You're still a CYC intern, but you obviously attend classes with other Eastern students. You can access the student support and all that sort of support that they have along the way. You can engage with leading minds in these fields, have some great lecturers as part of the Eastern College, and you have the opportunity to really learn from those guys, but also to engage with people who are in a different context to you guys as well, whether it be a church context or a chaplaincy context, teaching context, which is a great opportunity to test out some of the stuff you're learning and get to know a bunch of other people as well, which is awesome. So it's a full-time study load. So that means 4 subjects a semester, so 8 subjects over the year. And so approximately that ends up being about 2 days a week worth of the Eastern subjects. I'll explain the sort of breakdown for that in a minute. So you end up doing sort of a day and a half-ish for the Eastern subjects, and then the full day with us in the office for part of the development day. And so yes, obviously the timetable hasn't been sorted out yet, but the subjects that you will do with that, which may or may not mean anything to you, but gives a bit of a flavour. So living in Christ, which is a really great introduction to faith and what it means to follow out and live out our faith. Foundations for faith, which is a sort of introduction to basic theology and looking at some of those theological terms and all that sort of stuff. Introduction to the Bible, which looks at what it looks like to do biblical study, academic biblical study around context and all that sort of stuff as well. literature and worldview, which is their base art subject, which looks at a range of different ways of thinking and ethics and all that sort of stuff as well. Leadership speaks for itself, but looking for leadership in terms of not just church leadership, but also broader leadership structures. And then we have the internship reflection class as well, which runs both semesters, which fits into that, our internship development day as well. So both those times you spend with me are actually end up being class times as well. And I get to be your lecturer for that, which is kind of fun for that. And two birds with one stone. Obviously, yeah, timetable's not finalized, but they typically try and run those subjects together for us. So it'll be one complete day. So a morning and an afternoon, and then and either a morning or an afternoon somewhere else as well. So obviously the other strength with studying with Eastern College is them being an accredited higher ed provider. It means that you have opportunities to use that credit for ongoing study, whether that be at Eastern, as a number of our interns have done and gone on to do youth work degrees or other theology degrees at Eastern, or whether it's using credit at other institutions. It's obviously you've got the opportunity to do that, to apply for that there, which is a good opportunity. It means that not only are you spending the year learning and soaking in what you could learn, but it's also setting you up for opportunities for the future to be able to use that learning to build on and maybe nick some subjects off a degree somewhere else later along the line, which is good. So it could be obviously at Eastern or elsewhere. Awesome. What we might do now, so we don't have to keep hearing from me all night, which is good. I'm actually going to break you into some breakout rooms. And what I'm going to do is we've got our two staff members here are going to be in one of each room, and one of the interns will be in each of the rooms, and it'll give you the opportunity to hear a little bit about their internship experience. And maybe if you'd like to ask some questions of them, one of the reasons I'm doing it in the breakout rooms is so they can talk about me without me being there. And feel free to. That's absolutely true. I'm happy to do that. But they'll give you the opportunity to hear a bit from not just the salesman pitch that I might be giving, but about what it's really like to actually be an intern and how that might run out for you. Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Hopefully that was get a good sense from the guys around their experience, but also around some of their reflections around what the internship meant for them and how they engaged with it as well. Just a couple of things to sort of round out what we've been talking about, and then we'll have some time for questions as well as we sort of finish. I guess in terms of like the next I've got sort of three questions. The first of those is what happens from here. So this is really the open night. So this is a chance for me to just to spew some information at you at a base level. So a couple of things may happen. You may want to have further conversations with me or with another staff member or another intern, which is awesome. More than happy to do that. I'd love to buy you a metaphorical coffee right now. We can, cheers to the screen and zoom it away. It'll be great. More than happy to do that and answer some questions. But if you get to the level either from tonight or after those conversations or later in the year or whatever, there's a couple of steps in terms of what to do next. The first is, if you haven't done this already, I'd really encourage you to do this, and that's to download the prospectus from our website. So if you head to cycministries.org.au/internship, the prospectus will be there, and that's basically a little booklet that runs through most of the information we've talked about tonight, but also has a few stories from other interns, a few reflections, a few more details around some of the study stuff. So I'd encourage you to grab that, have a look through that. I know for me, it can be all good and well listening to someone sometimes, but I can get off a call and forget entirely what's been said. So having it written down is really helpful. So check that out. The second thing would be to fill in an application form. So this is the CYC application form. So again, you can find the link to that on the website, on the /internship website, the link to the application form there. That will ask you a couple of things. If you are already a leader with CYC, it will ask you to talk about why you want to do the internship, why you're interested. It'll ask you for references as well, similar to when you had your volunteer application. If you haven't previously been a leader with CYC, that's great and awesome. It will also include our normal volunteer application for volunteers, because we obviously that's a sort of base level for us in terms of accepting people as interns. They've got to be able to volunteer and lead on camp. So that will include that as well. So you just got to select the right thing on the way through. That obviously doesn't lock you into anything, but it does give us some more information to continue the conversation on that as well. The third part is once we've sort of gone through that, we'll check with the references, follow that up with you. If there's anything else we want to talk about or you have questions you have, we'll have you in for an interview with Lloyd and myself, same way as we would with any of our new staff or new interns. We sit down with you and just sort of have a chat around what your expectations are around the internship, things you're concerned about, things you're excited about. It's pretty low key, but it's also very important for us to get a real sense of who you are and why you're there, as that will frame your year with us throughout. And so really important to do that as well. Once, assuming that goes well, the next sort of level is to complete the application with Easton. So that's a separate application form. That's their normal application form. There'll be a box on there that you can tick and say you're a CYC Ministries intern, but you'll still have to fill in the form. It will ask for much of the same information that we do, references, etc. And that should be fine. We're yet to find someone who we've okayed and given the thumbs up to, and Easton hasn't. Obviously, pending those basic requirements around completed VCE and things like that are all laid out in the prospectus. In terms of closing dates for applications and processes, it's sort of a difficult question. The ideal answer to that is it would be great if we could have them, if we could have everything sorted heading into summer camp, so before Christmas this year. But the reality I know is that with placements coming out mid-January, that actually may affect your desire to do the internship or your ability to, if you can or can't defer a course. And so really it sort of sits through to the end of January. We're happy to take applicants. I remember the first year we did the internship, I started work about 2 weeks before the interns did. And my first day of work, I had someone rock up with an internship application form wanting to do the internship. So it's never too late, really. As long as we haven't started, so that's all good. But obviously be keen to at least be having the conversation with you along the way, if it is a possible option, even if it's not locked in. And that just allows us to keep preparing and allows you to get a better idea rather than trying to cram all those conversations into the last little week of needing to do that. The second question that I always ask people that I have a conversation with around this stuff, around the internship, and this may sound a little bit counterintuitive, is what else have you considered? I really don't want you to only look at the CYC Ministries internship as your only option for study or a gap year program next year. That, again, may sound counterintuitive and a bit odd, but I am by far more interested in you doing the right thing for you, in you doing the right thing for what you are looking for and what you need. And there's such a wide range of gap year programs and 1 year internship or other similar type programs. Some are much higher on a more academic study sense. Some are much more practical with little or no study, and everything in between. Some will do real practical work on camps or at church. Some will actually be all more learning focused and more personal development and personal growth. All of them are great options. And if you do consider the internship, or you put in your application form, or we have a conversation, I will no doubt provide you with a list of 3 or 4 things that you should consider. I don't do this because I'm trying to talk you out of it. I do it because I want you to know that you haven't chosen us by default, that you haven't chosen us because we're the first thing or the only thing, that there are other options. And let me honestly tell you that I will cheer you on as you choose something else, as much as I would cheer you on, maybe almost as much as I would cheer you on if you choose the CYC internship as well. So it's really important to do that, and that will always form part of our conversation as we do that. The last question I guess I want to leave you with tonight before we open up to some broader questions is really my pitch, I guess, in a sense, having counterintuitively just said that I'm happy for you to go anywhere. Why should you do the internship, the CYC Ministries internship? When I tell people what it is I love about our internship and why I think it's special, and why I think, obviously I'm biased, but why I think that it's a great option, there's a couple of things that comes back to me. The first is the combination of the practical ministry experience and exposure, and the academic learning and growth stuff as well. So I'm just going to do that to get rid of that thing. Yeah, cool. So looking at that combination of the practical ministry stuff and the academic. So you are learning in your head, you are going deeper in the Bible, you are learning more skills in your leadership, but you're also putting them into practice. Continually on camp, continually probably in your church, or youth ministry, or kids ministry, and we get to reflect on that. And a big part of our internship subject is actually reflection on you working out the things that we've learnt about. It's not just head knowledge or something that you're learning for the sake of it, but it's something that we want you to implement in your day-to-day life. The second part is, and should go without saying, but is the awesome fun of being involved in camps. Camp ministry, if you have experience with, which some of you have, you know how awesome it is, and you know how awesome the opportunities to do that often throughout the year are. If you haven't done camp ministry before, whether you do the internship or not, I can only so strongly encourage you to come and be a part of a camp leadership team. It is an amazing experience, both in the relationships you build with other leaders and campers, but the opportunity to serve young people and make a difference in young people's lives. It's like nothing else, honestly, it really is. And so that's a massive reason why you should consider doing an internship, because you get to do that for fun and as part of your study. You get actual credit for going and leading on camp. Third thing is the journey with the community of guys that are other interns. Any intern you speak to one of their strongest highlights, and the guys I'm confident won't back me up, they will have said, will have been the relationships they built with the other interns. One of the challenges of any any level of tertiary study is sometimes feeling like you're doing it on your own. Sometimes feeling like you got to find a group or a crew to do it with. The internship builds that for you. We have a little family that we get to create as part of the internship, where you guys get to hang out and do all the same subjects together. We hang out on the Thursday, and it means that you've got people walking with you alongside the awesome times that the internship will bring, and some of the challenging times as well. And I know, as someone who did an internship in my early study, it changed the way that I was able to study and engage with people as well. And some of those guys I still turn to as friends and co-people in ministry. The last one is the promise for development. The reason, as I said right at the start, the reason why we run our internship program is because we want to grow you. We want to grow you in who you are and your identity. We want to grow you in your faith. We want to grow you in your leadership skills, and we want to do that as part of an amazing community of people. However, what goes alongside that is the promise that I always make to any prospective interns, is that I'm not going to make it easy for you. And I mean that in the most loving and caring and poking and prodding way, but I'm not. I'm going to push you, and I'm going to encourage you to grow wherever you are, whether you're at step 1 or step 10. I'm going to encourage you to go 1, 2, 3 steps forward. And in times, you're going to get frustrated at that. And at other times, you're going to really appreciate it, and everything in between. But I don't want to pretend that's going to be any other way. I'm passionate about developing young leaders. And so that's how it works out in the internship. And I'm not going to let people just coast through. I'm going to encourage growth and formation throughout the whole year, even when it's not always that easy. Awesome. So if that's not a sell, great. Talk to me and I'll slip you a bribe under the table or something. But it would be super exciting to see any of you or all of you on our internship next year as a part of that. Knowing the ones that I know, but obviously having heard a bunch about you guys as well, I'm so excited by the fact that we're having this conversation. And whether it turns out that you do the internship, or whether it turns out you do another gap year program, or whether you go on to study or work or whatever it is, the fact that we're having this conversation says to me you are serious about development and growing yourself in your faith and who you are and your leadership. And that's exciting. And I'm excited to see you on camp one way or the other going forward. As I said before, if you're looking for the prospectus or the application form or any information around that, the best place to start is on the website. So cycministries.org.au/internship. And you can fill in any of those, or drop me a line. My email's on there as well. And so feel free to do that. I'd love to, as I say, chat further, even if it is just hammering out some thoughts around what it might be for you next year, whether it's this or something else. I'd love to have that chat with you. That's what I live for in this job. So that's no problem at all. Be great to hear from you.